Hi there, it's Jill. And if you are in a career or life transition right now where you are maybe wondering about work that would be aligned with the gifts that you have or allow you to make a difference perhaps in a different way than um, what you've already been doing, or if you've been feeling like something's missing, even though perhaps you've been successful in what you've previously done, and yet inside there's a calling that there's something else that you want to create, and yet at the same time find yourself hesitating, and maybe in that process of hesitating, also finding yourself getting distracted. Um, Instead of bringing that creative energy out into the world and your expression. If you relate to any of that, just wanted to share a quick video with you to just about why it can be helpful to do some inner exploration in those times of career transition, if you're thinking about work, or even in your life as well, if you feel like you're ready to bring forth a new stage or move to a new stage, yet feeling stuck. Within our inner world, um, it can help to explore there's different components that can, when we understand these more, they can help bring clarity and more sense of confidence as well to move forward. I tried to draw 4 circles in a Venn diagram, and I think I have a feeling that these two were supposed to overlap, and I maybe didn't do this correctly. But in any case, so let's see. So first of all, there is our nature, um, and um, sorry, that says nature. But all of us have a combination of the elements of nature within us: um, earth, air, fire, and water. Our physical body, our life, what allows us, this vessel, this vehicle that allows us to be here, um, is made up of the same elements. This body is part of Mother Earth. We're not separate. And um, and we all have the 4 elements, and at the same time, there are different ways that some of us have strengths in the combination of them in some directions that are stronger more than others. So some people, for example, have a lot of the water element, some people more fire, um, or you could have both fire and water. Other people may be more earthy. And this video, I'll make a separate video about the elements. If depending on which ones are really strong for us, those will give certain qualities in our ways of being naturally, that if we understand them, we can tap into those as not only inner resources for our own life to find more balance, also though to understand ways that we can use those in our expression that may feel more harmonious in some ways. So, for example, I'll just say briefly, someone with a lot of fire has usually a lot of creative energy and may want to move in different ways and have a variety of experiences. And fire, the element, symbolically is always changing. It transforms, and there's light in the fire, so it can be very expressive. However, if it isn't kept in a good container of discipline, someone with a lot of fire without that structure may find themselves getting very distracted and always moving from one thing to the next without feeling as grounded, or having a harder time bringing forth their creative expression because of lacking some of the structures, like the earth element that can provide, that can help to provide something that can be built over time. So I'll make a separate video about the elements. But anyway, so that's one component that we can explore in our inner world. And you, even without going into details, you could reflect for yourself, is there an element of nature, earth, air, fire, or water that you really gravitate towards? Sometimes that's because it's part of our nature. Sometimes it's also because it's sort of like an antidote that we maybe want or needing more connection to. So in addition to that, there's also our gifts. So our gifts are also connected to our nature in a sense of being also part of what we've inherited from our ancestors, and the same with our nature also is part of what we've inherited from our family lineages, both of these. There are things that have been passed down that we've received. These are qualities. The gifts tend to be very potent energies that almost have a requirement to, maybe I shouldn't even say almost, they have like a stronger requirement to learn to work with. If you think of like a place where there's an energy that's wanting to be expressed as part of our vehicle into the world, through us, there's an energy, the life force energy. And some of these gifts are, they're in seed form. The potential is there, but they won't blossom fully into the fruit or the flowers that can be offered through our lives to others in the way that we serve and work and move. If we haven't done some work to cultivate them, and that includes working with some of the difficult challenges that can be sort of like the husk that's covering over the seed. And again, I'll also make a separate video about our gifts, but it's really important to understand these because they are very strong, potent energies. And if we're not using them enough, then that energy, if it's stagnant, can sometimes cause other challenges. We feel like something is also maybe missing. Usually we will use our gifts in certain ways, but we may be unconscious with them. So there's a bit of a paradox that we need to cultivate them, and yet they're also already present. I need to move quickly. The clock is telling me. Sorry about rambling. So there's ways we can identify our gifts. It's not always easy to see these ourselves because sometimes there may have been in our ancestry and even in our own lives fear about being visible with them. We may not fully recognize them always on our own because they're so close to us. And so then there's also our essence. And so there's our physical vehicle, our gifts and our nature, what we've inherited from our ancestry. And then there's also our essence, which is related to our soul. It's like the seeds of our soul. Same way that we have our physical ancestry of our genetics connected to Mother Earth from our parents and our grandparents and all the generations going back, we also have our lineage from our soul and our soul's journey through past lives where we've developed different qualities and patterns and expression. And those also are part of our nature in a sense at an energetic level. And there's also ways that our soul seeks to be expressed, or these qualities or aspects from our soul to be developed if we do the work. And they're also paradoxically already there even though we may not also recognize them. So they're sort of present, and yet lots more work to do to bring awareness to these. And sometimes when we feel that sense that there's something new that's wanting to be created, there's an energy from here that's seeking to be born. So it can be helpful to explore what this energy may be that's wanting to be activated. And then finally, for this exploration of our inner world, which can be part of what we bring into the outer world, there are within, this is connected to our essence, but what in the work of hand analysis that I've studied and practiced with to help people understand their nature and what they can bring when they're wondering about purpose in work. There's also, you can see that this is life lessons. This is related to aspects of our essence, but that might be more like blind spots, places where there is the same way that we've experienced in our physical life. We may have experienced challenging things in our soul's lineage, in our past lives as well. There's been places that have felt like wounds, or where we lost we seem to have lost some of the connection to our inner light. And these are things that also we brought in with us before we were born, but if we do work in these areas, you could think of these as like core wounds, like the oyster that has a grain of sand that then it's gradually been building protection over. If we do work in these areas, they can also form part of they can become like a pearl. They may have in certain ways driven us in our lives to then express, to develop strengths. So there can be connections between some of these different circles where, for example, our essence is wanting to express through certain gifts and the nature that we have. And also, though, even within the wounds, or the life lessons, we're not truly, in our true nature, we're not wounded, but in these places where this seems to have been a forgetting, this energy also can be, it can express us, it can express through us unconsciously, through our gifts in nature. Yet if we start to bring more awareness to these areas and work over time to transform them, it can support and actually become part of the way, in the role that we serve, because we'll have much deeper compassion for other people who may also have had similar challenges. So all of these together can bring all of these 4 elements together, bring together our inner light, and trying to draw a star that didn't work very well. Anyways, the combination of these bring, when we bring together our life force and our light source from our soul, these make up parts of who we are, and doing exploration of our vehicle in this way can help us to find more confidence in what we can contribute, help us with more clarity sometimes when we're wondering about direction in the time of a transition, and to make sense of our lives even in other ways, other patterns we've been experienced, not only in work, but in things like relationships, maybe our relationship to health, understanding where there's patterns where we've been distracted, and all of this can support you in creating a more aligned, lighter life. If you'd like to learn more, watch for more videos to come. Bye.